Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having, I don't know why I did that, all having a great day. As always, leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing helps out the channel immensely. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Renowned billionaire investor, his name is Michael Novogratz, has urged people to buy Bitcoin amid the United States' surging debt and interest payments. Yeah, scary. In a recent tweet, the Galaxy CEO Digital and prominent billionaire investor Mike Novogratz, what? If you read the sentence, it says, in a recent tweet, the CEO of Galaxy Digital and prominent billionaire investor Mike Novogratz investor, okay, and crypto advocate Mike Novogratz, what? It says his name, okay, issued a resounding call amid concerns over the surging, why they have his name twice, surge over the U.S. interest payments reaching new heights. So I'm gonna tell you this one thing first. On my other channel, Money Rules, if you were watching, which I hope you were, there's a video that I posted where I basically go into detail and I show people that quite often there are and have been a number of billionaires who are constantly, the word's not crying wolf, crying sky is falling, something along those lines, where the generalized idea is that things are so completely horribly terrible right now and the economy is going to collapse and the US dollar is about to burst into flames and therefore everyone has blah, 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 like those kind of things over and over. So yes, the US debt levels are terrifyingly high, but at the same breath, for those of you who have never looked into it, I am not the most studious on said subject, but every country is in debt to everyone else. And the generalized idea is that no one is ever going to ask for their money back because it would create a domino that would destroy and wipe out the world's economy. And you may sit there and go, well, why would no one ask for it back? You remember how like in the first 3 months of Cororo, and everyone was losing their minds, and the main thing that kept on being on the news, for those of you who remember it, it was not the fact that there was something outside. It was more so that the economy was collapsing. That's the most important thing that we have to worry about. So you saw how much they panicked on that one issue. Now imagine all these countries being like, hey, you guys owe me $100 trillion. It's something, it sounds ridiculous, but this is how the world actually works. It's like a well-known thing. I forgot the term for it. It's not mutually assured, blah, 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 but there's another term for it that basically every other country knows that they can continuously keep taking out debt because at some point it'll never actually be paid off by any other country. Not to say that it's not a big issue. I threw my hands into the air like that Neil deGrasse Tyson meme, but it's more of a, years ago, I kept on thinking that the financial sky was falling every couple of seconds because rich people kept on going onto TV and telling me how terrifying everything actually was. Anyway, I'm going to move on because that's a whole nother discussion entirely, but it's also this really weird, I don't know, I can't really. Specifically, Novogratz exclaimed, buy Bitcoin! In response to market analyst Joe Consorti's revelation that the United States' interest payments have skyrocketed to $970 billion US dollars. The analyst said the figure marked an alarming increase of $41 billion during the second quarter. Here's the tweet for it right here. He has a little photo of him with a little bow tie. And it says, by Batissa, the U.S. is now paying $970 billion in interest payments, up $41 billion in quarter two. At this rate, it will hit $1 trillion soon, because that's usually how numbers work. As tax receipts continue to lag sovereign debt growth, interest payments will increasingly be funded with revenue from more debt issuance. Get it now? And then he has like a photo of like a little, I guess it's supposed to be a tornado or like, I don't know what that's supposed to be. And then there's like a photo of a chart that's like in black, but the line is in white. So you can see, whoa, that line is definitely going up. I don't know. I'm more cynical about these things now because I've heard it's not crying sheep, crying wolf. You know what I mean? Like that from like a lot of billionaires for a very long time. I wish that things were given in, especially from billionaires, because I always feel that they have more of like and I dare say this word with the term billionaire, more of a moral obligation than other people to let people understand exactly what's going on. But it's usually like some really weird scare tactics that kind of end up popping up. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I don't disagree with him. But this was one of the most popular news stories out there. It's Mike Novogratz. Anytime Mike Novogratz is in the news, it ends up being very popular. He always says buy Bitcoin. This time should be no different. It's more of I feel like if the discussion was like, oh, the value of the US dollar will continue plummeting because of inflation that we can't get rid of, and Bitcoin's halving is almost coming, and therefore Bitcoin's value will rise, as we've seen it rise the last 5 or 6 times during the other halvings, but look into like government debt. And I mean, like try and find like actual, there was something about it. I'm going to try and remember during this video, and then I'll say it if I can remember exactly what it is. There was a discussion somewhere about it online on YouTube, of course, where people were discussing like that governments will never pay back this debt because they know that like there's no reason to ever have to do so. There's only been, I think, 1 or 2 countries over the last like 50 years who have ever said that they want their money back. And they were sanctioned. They were completely like pushed to the side. You didn't even hear about these countries anymore. So anyway, cool. The news is Mike Novogratz for the 38,000th time has said buy Bitcoin. I expect nothing different. He'll say the same exact thing in about 2.5 weeks. He'll say the same exact thing around December if prices are going up. He'll say it around, I'll say March, mid-March as the halving is coming. He'll say it in May. That's how Mike Novogratz rolls. So do we know how much Bitcoin Mike Novogratz has? I feel like we don't. I feel like it's a lot. Like a lot. Like not like 4,000, like it's like 65,000 or something really crazy like that. Wasn't he the one who first like bought Ethereum for $1? I'm pretty sure that's him. I think it's Mike Novogratz. It wasn't the other guy. The other guy with the face. The guy with the jacket. Worthington. That's not his name. Jim Money. No, what was this? There's Mike Novogratz, and then the other one. Whatever. Anyway, that's the U.S. government annual interest line keeps going up, so it looks scary. Buy Bitcoin news. And yeah, let's move on. In very unpopular news, in a recent televised interview, Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler expressed his reservations about the crypto marketplace. What? That's weird. Particularly regarding pending applications for spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds. Yeah. While Gensler refrained from making a definitive statement until the entire 5-member commission could evaluate the recent surge in filings, his comments hinted at underlying concerns regarding fraud and manipulation within the cryptocurrency industry. So, where do we begin? Mr. Gensler, a number of years ago, used to talk like this basically every single day, and he still does. He thinks the cryptocurrency space is rife, full of scams, fraudsters, manipulators. He thinks the market can't control itself. He thinks everything's all over the place, and therefore that is the one reason why there should not be a physical Bitcoin exchange traded fund. I'm finding the timing of this to be a little bit weird. I will say this, and I will make sure that everyone has heard me. At this point, my idea is that there will not be any company that is going to be approved for a Bitcoin ETF. I know someone just frowned or has little wrinkles on their forehead. Calm down. I say this not because I don't want one to be, because the moment we have one physical Bitcoin ETF within the United States, Bitcoin is going to $150,000. It's just a given. I mean, easily, like even before we price in any type of halving type of event. Gary Gensler, for some reason, is on a recent kick that I think only he is experiencing, where he believes that the entirety of the SEC should control every single aspect of the cryptocurrency space. I do not like recent revelations that he has been revealing, where he says that everything in crypto to him is a security and therefore should be regulated by the SEC. And this even comes before giving actual regulation so that people know how to regulate themselves. He's recently, this isn't his first televised or news interview, where he's basically announcing how he feels about all of these applications at the exact same time. I would assume that the original idea was that BlackRock was going to file their Bitcoin application. I wholeheartedly assume, after having seen the way that this world works over the last couple of years or my entire life, I believe that there were probably some discussions that were had that led to the idea of a BlackRock ETF being safe enough to even be, considered for approval. That's my opinion. I think the other applicants rushed after BlackRock, as one logically would, because it's BlackRock. When you control the planet, everyone just assumes that you're going to get it. I think the outcome, if BlackRock got approved and everyone else did not, would be a fury firestorm that the SEC would not be able to control. I tinfoil hattily assume that the original goal was just to have BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF approved, but then everyone else rushed in, and I don't think that Gary Gensler wants to give everyone the power at the exact same time. If you missed one of the most recent videos from me, the people from Grayscale have urged, it's not going to happen, but they've urged the US SEC to approve every Bitcoin ETF at the exact same time. I sincerely don't think it's going to happen, but this is where we currently are. So what I think is going to happen is that no one is going to get a Bitcoin ETF. And it pains me for a number of reasons. Not because of the rejection of a Bitcoin ETF. If you haven't gotten one, you can't miss what you don't have. There isn't one in the US, and therefore no one knows what it's like to have one inside the United States. But the market will panic because people don't know how to actually put things into context, in that there was never going to be one from the US SEC, and therefore there should be no problem with not having one. Hold on. Right. Sorry, there was something on my phone and I had to make sure to put it on silent. Gensler pointed out that the crypto trading platforms where various crypto tokens are traded lack compliance with the time-tested investor protection and fraud prevention measures commonly observed in traditional financial exchanges. He emphasized that these platforms engage in combinations of market functions that are prohibited in conventional exchanges due to conflicts of interest. This non-compliance raises red flags for investor protection, signaling potential regulatory hurdles for Bitcoin ETFs, despite growing investor interest. The skepticism surrounding ETF applications is not unfounded, they say, because they go into detail as to what the SEC has said about Coinbase, which I also don't agree with. I don't personally believe that Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, and Gemini would have done anything to put their businesses in jeopardy. It seems completely nonsensical owning a multi-billion-dollar company. You, all four of you, make sure that you're non-compliant at the exact same time. Doesn't make a lot of sense. This was all over the place news, but of course it was very unpopular. SEC Chairman Gensler expresses concerns over Bitcoin ETFs and cryptocurrency market. Here's the actual, here's a tweet of it. And someone left a little clown emoji regarding Gensler, which I do not disagree with. But yeah, the way that things are working out right now, I don't think that any of them are going to get approved. And that's, I think, going to be a power play by Gensler. It's going to be a shame because people will panic and the market will go down because people are continuously confuzzled in the cryptocurrency space where they conflate other things to Bitcoin when it's not Bitcoin. The prices fell down years ago when, what do you call it? When Mt. Gox fell. When people were like that the Mt. Gox coins were going to hit the market. When BitConnect collapsed, Bitcoin also fell that day as well. There was another company who announced that they weren't getting into crypto. The prices fell down. Like there was some other blockchain that had a problem years ago, and people thought it was, that Bitcoin was connected to it. That also went down. There was a problem with some other company who announced that they were selling, they were custodying, holding, and selling a Bitcoin. They had a problem. Bitcoin went down. FTX collapsed. Bitcoin went down. None of these things are Bitcoin until or unless Bitcoin, the network stops working, collapses, fails, fall apart. That's when you should be afraid. Everything else is completely nonsensical. The market, look at that. The US has never had a physical Bitcoin ETF, and look how Bitcoin is still moving along. But I do think that if we get a Bitcoin ETF this year, there's no word in English that would explain how shocked I would be. But this guy's been going at it for a couple of weeks now on the news, talking about how he doesn't like any of it. So, but right. If they do get rejected, this will be BlackRock's second rejection ever. I think they've tried to have like almost 400 ETFs and only one has been rejected. And I assume the person who rejected that ETF is no longer working with the SEC. And yeah, let's move on. It's cringy news once again. This is a continuation of a news story that we recently had as well. The SEC has never approved a Bitcoin ETF. Got it. Grayscale recently announced, this was a couple of months ago, that they wanted their Bitcoin ETF to go through. It didn't go through, and then they launched a lawsuit against the SEC. Grayscale even recently announced that they are advising or asking the US SEC to approve every single application for a Bitcoin ETF at the exact same time. Is that going to happen? No, there's literally a 0% chance that the SEC is going to listen to Grayscale because it's Grayscale. However, the firm has also argued that Coinbase should not qualify as a surveillance partner to launch such a product under the SEC's pre-established rules. Do you remember any of that news? Basically, for some reason, wink, every single company who is now in line to try and get a physical Bitcoin ETF has listed Coinbase as their partner. Remember a couple weeks ago when Cathie Wood was like, I'm buying everything, and she bought a whole bunch more Coinbase stock? It's because of this. The news was at the time, and it's still quite significant, BlackRock chose Coinbase as their partner to list the ETF. So basically, as things are going on, you need like a counterparty to mitigate risks, to look where the money is going, to have as like a custody solution. Every single company chose Coinbase. Why I said it's cringy, it's because Grayscale has been in the news recently, and it's only been like a negative Nancy kind of thing where they keep stating that like no one else should have it unless everyone has it, or like this company shouldn't be allowed to do this because they're so and so. And now they're talking about that Coinbase shouldn't be the partner of every single company. I would assume, by all basis and logic, Grayscale probably contacted BlackRock and Fidelity to be their surveillance partner and probably got told no. Do I know if that is true? No, because I don't know any of these companies and I wasn't in the room. But why would you, Grayscale, as a I can assume, billion-dollar company, be upset that Coinbase got chosen for 5 different projects and you did not? Per the comment letter, the SEC has already questioned the pricing data produced by unregulated Bitcoin trading venues for years. Grayscale referenced the SEC's explicit denial of the Granite Shares ETP Trust in 2018, which intended to form a surveillance sharing agreements SSA with Gemini's exchange. The SEC determined that Gemini did not represent a regulated market comparable to a national securities exchange. It's a bit cringy at this point. I don't feel bad for Grayscale. It's difficult for me to feel bad for anyone or anything that's worth billions of dollars. Like, you will be just fine after this. Should there be an ETF rejection? Well, guess what? You still live in a $14 million apartment. Like, you know, I can't be like, oh my gosh, I want Grayscale to get their ETF. Like, it's that kind of like level of cringe. While I do not personally care for Coinbase, they aren't my crypto exchange of choice. I think it kind of says something when you're chosen by 5 larger players at the exact same time. Clearly, something is there that you don't have. That is to say, they all chose Coinbase over Grayscale for a number of reasons. So anyway, this was lightly popular news. I think it's because people like this kind of negativity kind of thing. Here's the actual article right here on their website. I think it becomes popular because I think people like the drama within the cryptocurrency space, and they're like, oh, look what he said against him. But it's more like this is why we have no unity within the space, because even the larger players are constantly throwing mud at each other. Like, you can't be satisfied that if every other company got their Bitcoin ETF approved, you as Grayscale would also get an approval as well eventually. You can't be happy enough for that. You have to make sure that you tell the SEC that the other kids on the playground aren't playing fair and shouldn't be considered for a prize. Very, very cringy. Very, very cringy what's happening with Grayscale. I don't know who's in charge of that company anymore, but you guys got to get it together. Like, pull back. Like, make sure you are, sit in the cut. Don't say anything to anyone. Just calm down. And then when everyone else gets their, lollipop, you also go get yours and you make your extra billions of dollars. But this isn't the way to go about it. Talking about that everyone else shouldn't get it because you didn't get yours approved twice. It's not a good look at all. Not at all. That's the Grayscale says Coinbase shouldn't be allowed to play news. And yeah, let's move on. So here we go. I would love if this actually happened. However, understand that I have reservations because I've heard stuff like this before. If it does happen, cool. The market's going to go to new places. But until then, gigantic question marks. In an effort to enhance domestic and international remittances, leading Japanese financial giant SBI has unveiled its plans for utilizing Ripple's on-demand liquidity, that's XRP, in Japan. Someone else just raised their hand. Yes. Back in 2017 and 2018, SBI, which I believe is the largest bank consortium in Japan, they are comprised of multiple different companies that make up this one gigantic banking entity, announced that they had partnered with Ripple, the company, and everyone completely lost it. Largest bank in Japan. That's absolutely incredible. I can't believe it. The head of SBI then, I don't know if still, Yoshitaka Katao, I believe was his name. He announced that he loved Ripple. He became a board member, I believe, of Ripple as well. and announced that the SBI Bank was going to create a cryptocurrency exchange, and they would only be listing XRP as their main trading pair. I think that happened. I don't remember. A lot of stuff has happened in the last 95 years. On top of that, there were not announcements. People were discussing, and there was a lot of stuff online that people thought that the bank would be using XRP as a payment method, like in terms of on-demand liquidity. So not directly using XRP, but using the XRP blockchain, and therefore XRP in the background. For those of you who don't know that it works, imagine an above ground train. Like you've seen like the trains like go above ground. Now imagine simultaneously there's a train also beneath it that's being used. They're being moved at the exact same time. So the upper layer would be the Japanese currency, and then beneath it to transfer the actual value would be XRP moving everything along. This is the general idea of on-demand liquidity and using XRP, which was formerly known as XRapid. The reason it's not skepticism, it's more of a just do iticism, because we've heard this before. We heard that this was going to happen, and I think, or I can only assume that the bulk of things that we were promised across multiple chains. This is not just an XRP thing. This is a Bitcoin thing, an Ethereum thing, a Cardano thing, you name it thing. I think the last couple of years have been like a bit foggy for everyone, and not we're not all 1,000% there. It's been a lot that we've all been going through. So I assume that 2020, 2021, very weird years for finance. So I assume that a lot of the companies who planned on using these products, who told us that they would be using these products at the end of 2018, 2019, and the beginning of 2020, took a step back because of Coco. So in a half glass full silver lining kind of thing, I can only assume that they'll actually go along with these plans now that the world has lightly calmed down a bit and gotten somewhat back to normal. SBI Venture Capital Trade, the crypto asset exchange business of SBI Group, recently shared its future developments aimed at leveraging XRP for on-demand liquidity-based remittances in both Japan and within the Philippines. SBI VC Trade made the announcement during a Zoom webinar. The webinar featured speeches from those are very long names. I can't read all that. From people from Ripple. The primary objective of the webinar was to discuss the recent court ruling and the Ripple case and provide valuable information on utilizing XRP effectively. Moreover, the discussion encompassed upgrading prospects for XRP and Ripple's on-demand liquidity solution, in addition to initiatives introduced by SBI Group. According to a slide shared by Tomohiko Kondo on Twitter, after the webinar, SBI VC Trade plays a crucial role in facilitating the transmission of XRP. As Ripple's exchange partner for ODL in Japan, the company is responsible for processing XRP transactions. Hands in the air. I sincerely don't know. Here's the tweet for it right here. I can't read any of this, but, using my Carmen Sandiego powers, it has a bunch of banks and lines going to SBI VC Trade. The lines go to XRP Ledger, and then it goes to a bunch of other there's like people holding hands, and then, the flag of the Philippines. So that's as far as I am able to get there. Yeah, there's been such a massive increase in the amount of XRP and Ripple news in the last couple of days. It's almost like getting out of hand a little bit, because you don't understand. I'm not including all the XRP news it is insane how many people are popping out of the woodworks with all this great new XRP news and Ripple news and partnership news and usage news, as if the rest of the world didn't exist. All these things were still possible before, regardless of what the SEC's lawsuit might have been. So yeah, I still do personally firmly believe if the market paid attention to all the big news that we keep getting, we would probably be roughly around a $50,000 Bitcoin. We should probably have $1.80 XRP just based off of pure gosh darn logic. $3,000 Ether and many other coins should be up as well. But for some reason, the market's taking a strong breather. I attribute it to a large portion of the pre-having calmness before the storm. It is usually like this within the market, but I think if people really understood what's happening, and if all of this news actually does come true, it's impossible to hear that over the last 2 weeks that 18 different companies have partnered with Ripple, are going to be using XRP, and it's, moving and spreading all around the world, that this coin's price will remain this low forever. Personal opinion. Yeah, that's the SBI Bank says they're going to be utilizing XRP more to transfer money around the world. And yeah, let's move on. Right. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.